water bottle. I'm
That's
like
okay.
ultra fancy today. Well, here's the thing. It's 2 o'clock. It's Tuesday at 2, and I've already had coffee and the energy drink. So it was like, we're on to water now, trying to be responsible in my
Hydrate.
age. Hydrate. So
Hydrate.
important. Gotta
Have you ever
hydrate.
tried the liquid IV?
So we have it because Bella's on it because of the POTS, because having POTS, so she needs to take electrolytes all day long. I've never tried that one. The liquid IV she doesn't like. There's another one she likes better. It's called like LTF or LVR. It's like 3 letters and it starts with L. She said those are better. But yeah, no, those are good. I think everyone should. But see, this water has electrolytes in it. It actually says with electrolytes
Okay.
and it's BPA free. So go Kroger with the simple truth. The simple truth.
I like
This
it.
episode brought to you by Electrolytes and Simple Truth. I feel like
And how to stay hydrated during the real estate
hydrated.
market.
Yes.
So let's talk really real estate.
Much going on. I don't even know where to start today. There's so much going on.
Well, do you want to start with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the reason why we're late, sorry everybody, it's actually due to me. I actually had a listing agent call me. We went under negotiations, and I think what we should definitely discuss is who you hire matters. So, as a loan officer, I do a pre-approval. I actually vet them. I look at our clients who have all their documents. I look at pay stubs, bank statements, make sure that they have money. I look at all the details, credit reports, because here's the thing, we want to protect our clients. We want to protect the families and our friends that we serve. If we're not doing our due diligence and really making sure that this home is something they financially could afford, we're doing it wrong. Don't
Hmm.
hire the ones that just say, "Oh, you make how much?" and don't ask for that document. You
Right.
need to be supplying your W-2, 1099, or LES if you're military. So those are the 3 that you need to supply, or a tax return. So
Yeah.
there's for our business owners. So it's important to do that, and I just got on a phone call. A listing agent called me first. Holly, she called me first. I usually make the phone call when we go into our negotiations. Hello, my name is CC at Simple Home Lending.
Right.
I'm the lender because it's rare for lenders to call and it helps
For that agent to
promote.
call.
Oh yeah, it helps promote the fact that I'm here, I've seen it and I care. I care
Right.
about being at the closing table and making sure that this actually gets funded correctly. She beat me to the punch. Hence, I'm
Well,
a
that's
little late.
good. Hey, Gary,
I
we're so glad you're
know.
here. Yeah,
Hi,
no, that's
Gary.
important. I always call. Like that's one of the things I want to get into with this is I always make that call. I mean, how can you get under contract when you haven't even spoken to the lender? Like that listing agent needs to do that due diligence before I may like send that contract over to the clients, but I always tell them review it, but I have to talk to the lender before this means anything. If not, it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, and it's again, who you hire matter. You do that, and it's so rare that someone beats me to the punch because I'm right there. And I was impressed. I'm like, good job. I didn't even know that the offer went over. I knew it was going to. I just wasn't CC'd in the email. But with
Right.
that being said, I would like to talk a little bit about where we're at in the market, if you
Yeah.
don't mind. Again,
No,
it's
I think
important.
it's huge news. It's like
Yeah.
all the news right now is where we're at right now. There's so much going on with that.
And it's important. So if you've been following us and if you haven't, subscribe, push all the buttons. This is Holly's page. She has me on as a guest. I'm a normal guest that comes on a weekly basis, and I do talk about mortgages and where we're at. Some weeks we talk heavier into the mortgage side,
Hmm.
or sometimes we talk more into the real estate side, which I think we have plenty of fun stories to talk about of
Yes.
why who you should hire and who you should not. But that was a good example of that was actually a really good listing agent who called me and got that done. But the next part is having someone and a real estate agent and a lender be able to talk to you about the market. Where's it
Hmm.
at? Where is it going?
Yep.
So I know that we had a lot of reports come out and everybody's waiting for a rate drop, this
Right.
big thing that's going to happen. It's not. Yes and no, it's not. It's going to be a decline. We're
Right.
declining
It's
slowly
gonna
and
step down. Right.
in a healthy way. So,
Yeah.
first and foremost, we just hit the average. I'm just going to say an average. We were, I want to say 4 months ago, we're at 6.8.
Yep.
We dropped down and now we're at 6.375
Which
as
is
an
amazing.
average.
That's
So, as
awesome.
you see, the decline is taking a little bit every
Yep.
time the Federal Reserve meets, and there's
Mhm.
a lot of pressure for, and you'll also hear me call him Fed Daddy, Powell, to get the numbers right. He
Right.
has,
Get the numbers right.
just get the numbers right
Just get the
and
numbers
help,
right.
no, just help heal the country because
Yes, for
we're
the love
there's
of God, get the numbers right.
a lot of people are hurting because they had such high interest rates. We need
Mhm.
them to come down,
Yes.
refinance where they can actually afford to live because of what's happening with inflation. The second part is the people who are stuck, the families who are stuck in the home at a 2%, 3%, 4% interest rate, and they can't go to a 7. It
Right.
doesn't make sense. So
Right.
we
It's a
need
really
to,
hard pill to swallow.
it's a huge
It's
jump.
so hard for people to make that financial decision. It's like, and I feel like they are like, it's like a gift and a curse at the same time. Cause it's a gift because I'm one of those people. I'm at 3.25, but it's like, if I want to move, I'm going to move because I refuse to live my one life stuck in a place just because of that. I'm going to find a way around it. But a lot of people can't afford to do that. And they may want to, like, and it's hard for them because now they're conditioned to think this is normal, but it's not a normal rate. It's just, it was a gift when we got it. And if you don't need to move, awesome. But if you do need to move, you just need to unwrap your brain from thinking that that was normal because 3% is not normal. 4% isn't even normal. It's not average.
Mhm.
Where we're at now is actually closer to a historical average than where we were. I mean, it used to be 12% was the historical average. I think the newer numbers are around 8% is the new historical average because they're taking the whole thing and it'll up and down, but yeah, I mean, we're still under that. We're still
We're
under the
still doing
average.
pretty good,
Yeah.
and the Fed is still meeting this week, and they're still forecasting a 25% drop.
They're meeting on
Now that's
Thursday, right? The
they're
18th.
not, 17th.
Oh, I thought it was Thursday the 18th and we get the data on
I
Friday
could
the 19th.
I could be wrong, then it's the 18th. Wait, the calendar. Is Thursday the 17th or the 18th?
Thursday is the 18th. I was
Oh,
told by a couple other people it was the 18th.
okay. So then it's Thursday because in the calendar, like, I was thinking it was the 17th. So what's important about this is that there's another drop. Now this isn't 25% is not tied to mortgages. We're tied to a 10-year
Right.
bond and it gets affected as a whole.
Hmm.
So when we get these reports, the hopes by oh my gosh, girl, tongue tied. The economists that we watch and that we actually read about, learn about, a lot of them are saying that we're looking at a 25 basis points reduction. So that would be
Right.
great. Let's see if this happens. We'll know more and can report on this next week, which is huge. So we're hoping for it. Fingers crossed. That'll help
That
the
would be
bond.
amazing. If we
That
could get it
would.
closer to 6%, I really feel like that would help close the gap from the fact that, well, we're at here in Michigan and a lot of the Midwest, we are still seeing an increase in pricing. Our prices have not gone down. A lot of the countries in a buyer's market. Florida, we've talked about this so many times. Florida, California, Texas, they're in a full on buyer's market. They've got 12 months of inventory in some areas. Anything over 6 months is the definition of a buyer's market, 6 months of inventory. I think like when you get to 5 months and 4.5, 5 months, you're in a buyer's market. Personally,
Yeah.
from my experience here in Michigan, but like right now, we haven't hit 2.5 months in most areas yet. Even if we hit 3 months, I think 3 months is such a balance. I love 3 months. I think it's a balanced market. I think if we stayed between 3 and 4 months of inventory, it's very balanced. It's not like, I mean, yes, it's still considered a seller's market if you look at the actual like definition of it. But right now, buyers have the opportunity to be picky because we're seeing a lot more inventory. And I think that's because of what you're talking about with the rate stepping down, taking those steps down, inflation getting a bit under control. The closer we get to 6%, I think we're going to see even more people. I think we're going to see a really strong fourth quarter. And for us
Oh,
in
it
Michigan,
is.
that's going to be interesting because we're getting into the cold, the the fourth quarter for us is the holidays, the cold, and the first quarter, same thing here. The fourth quarter and the first quarter is the wintry cold months here in Michigan. But, you know, I mean, October is not bad, but you get in
Mhm.
November, December, it gets tough. January, February, those 4 months, it's like, oh, it's cold and it's rainy and it's snowy. But
Well,
I think
and
it's
just
going to be a great season for us.
overall, nationally, applications are up. And I wanted to bring this up before we moved on to our next topic. Applications for purchases and refinances are up. Purchases are always heavy during the summer.
Hmm.
Refinancing is coming up, which is great. That is progress of healing, seeing that there's an
Yes,
increase of applications just in the month of September,
that's
which is
great.
huge because September typically isn't the high time. It's not
Right.
the big time. It's April, March, June, July, August, September is when all the closings happen
Yeah.
because everybody wants to move in for one reason or another, and they don't want to move during the snow, which I've
Right.
done it. I actually was
Me
shoveling.
too. I've done
I
it
moved
too.
in February.
Oh, shoveling the pathway in and hoping you don't fall.
Every
And the
5
movers don't
minutes.
fall and they're tracking and all this stuff. Yeah. That's why we
Oh,
don't like to do it. People have to do it, they do it, but it's not our
yes.
choice. Like
Yeah.
we wouldn't choose it that way, but life is life, right? And sometimes,
Hey, it was Valentine's Day.
oh,
And so we got our
that's
house
a
on
special
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
It
Day.
was, it was good. Our process our processor knocked it out. The fun fact is that, myself and my ex-husband work actually in the mortgage industry together in the same company. Well, not together, but at the same company, and it's funny, it's just like a I don't know, like a house cleaner, for example. She cleans everybody's home, but when it comes to her stuff, most likely she doesn't have the tidiest home because she's exhausted. Same
Right.
thing with us. We do mortgages for a living, and guess whose mortgage got put back on the burner the whole time?
Oh, that's so
Us,
funny.
us, us. And finally, I'm like, we got to get this done.
Yeah.
And it has to get done
Yeah.
now because, again, we were putting our clients first, not our stuff. And we shouldn't have done that. So, the moment when I realized, I'm like, oh no, we need to close. I went to the
Gotta lock this loan
processor.
and go.
We gotta go. We got the certificate of occupancy, and it just landed on Valentine's Day. It was like, again, very much like the house cleaner situation. We put ourselves last because
Yeah.
our clients came first. The families we serve comes first.
And that's a good segue into talking about like one of the topics for today. Now that we've given like a little overview, who you work with matters. I mean, I've got some funny stories. They're funny maybe now. They weren't funny in the moment of just some real like why you want to sit down. Here's the first thing I want to say. They say Ferraris never go on sale. You're never going to see a for sale. You're never going to see a 20% off at Chanel. You're not going to see Ferrari have a sale. You're not going to see any deals. Okay. When you want quality, you got to pay for it. You get what you pay for. In our industry, it's no different. You can find an agent that's a, flat fee agent and is cheap basically, but that's going to cost you. I have too many stories for us to talk about of how that will cost you as a buyer or a seller. And a lender, sweet Lord, if you get a lender that doesn't know what they're doing, you may not close at all, which is going to not just hurt you, but it's going to hurt everybody down the line who is counting on you, closing on that house because that person needs to close on their house. And then it's like that domino effect and it just messes everybody up. So it's kind of like plastic surgery too. When I see like when they have these sales, they're like, oh, this procedure is usually 8,000, but now it's 4,000. I don't think I want that doctor. Not that I'm having any of that done, but I don't think I'm picking the person that's putting that on sale that just doesn't I want the person that knows what they're doing if they're going to be cutting me with the scalpel. Same thing if I'm going to be like making the number one largest financial transaction probably of my life for most people is buying and selling real estate. I might want to have somebody who knows what they're doing and isn't,
Maybe a
working
little.
for peanuts. Just a thought. Just a
Well,
thought.
and having going on reputation is huge. When you
Yeah.
get that referral, when someone's like when someone says, "Hey, I have this person." Hey, that means that they've already been vetted. So,
Hmm.
definitely take that recommendation. Oh, take it from a good person, clearly. It's interesting how many individuals on my side of the lane don't get vetted.
That's crazy to me.
No, the I've only had a few people say that, that they're looking to interview loan officers. I love it. Love it. I'm like, "Let me tell you what I like to do," and I will go through the steps, and biggest thing for me to get out there is communication. The
Hmm.
second is organization, and the third is keeping them fiscally responsible.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's what you wanna hear. Someone who
Yeah.
has your finances in your best interest. Let's not overshoot. Let's live life. So,
I have
okay,
a quick story about this right now. Hi,
okay.
Adrian. Thanks for joining us. So, I am actually working with a buyer who's not working with you because he came to me with a lender that was his good friend. So, I'm never going to take business from someone. I'm like, as long as this guy can do his thing, that's fine. I talked to him, had in-depth conversation. I'm like, okay, good. Do you know, I sat with the client and I said, we talked, and this is happening right now. We talked about the taxes and we talked about where the taxes were currently at. And I said, they're going to at least double because I can see where the taxable value is and where the state equalized value is. And in Michigan, we know about the pop-up. I said, I need you to go back to him and I need you to have him run these numbers to make sure while we're in, before we put the offer in, right? Or even at least during the inspection period, make sure you like where these taxes are going to shake out because they're going up. Do you know that he just got back to me not even a week ago and he said the taxes are going to basically triple? I'm like, did you have him run that? And then he went back through his emails and he found something. He goes, "Oh, I guess he did send it to me." And I was like, "Yeah, but that should have
Oh,
been a conversation. But that should have been a conversation. That should have been a,
triple.
do you understand where this is at?" Because I'm just eyeballing it. I didn't do the math, but I can see that the taxable is going to at least double, right? That's where it's going because I can see the SEV. So maybe the SEV even went up. It must have been even, I don't know how it's even higher than what I could see. But I told them, I said, this is the financial lane. And yes, I have a site we can go to, and yes, it'll ballpark it for you, but I want the lender to do that. I always say, like, this is my lane. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. I want the
Right.
lender to run those numbers to the penny so that they understand exactly what they're doing. This is a house they're buying. So I feel bad for him because it's more than he thought it was going to be. And there's nothing I can do about it at this point because, the appraisal came in good and everything. And he's like, yeah, well, he's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm like, okay, because I did everything I was supposed to do. But yeah, it's the taxes. That's a big thing. Like the lenders that don't sit down and give you a cash to close and don't tell you exactly what your costs are and just quote you a rate. Because everyone's so focused on what's the rate, but they don't focus in
Yes.
on the cost to close. They don't focus in on, what is the underwriting fee? Do you have any other type of fees? What are all the fees that you're paying? Um, all the things. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just a rate that's built in. And it's
Okay. Since you brought that up,
yeah,
I have my computer here.
good.
I don't know, can you so what I do, I know you guys can't see this. Let's do some aesthetics. Can you hear it? The
Yeah.
computer. Okay.
Yeah.
This is when I talk to clients, what a breakdown should look like. This is
Hmm.
at closing, what the payment's going to be, and the potential uncapping. Potential because I'm not an assessor. We're going to go based
Right.
off the rule of the house, doubling or half the purchase price, excuse me. So by basing that off the millage rate, you get the millage rate, and that's my job to do. I love doing that. Give me I can put down the current millage rate. Of course, that changes. So, but this is a good idea, and there's a difference. And you're going to see, yes, you can afford it now, but can you afford this? I think this one was a
When it
207.
adjusts.
This one was $271 monthly difference. So
Yeah.
you're going from a $2,700 mortgage to a $3,000
That's a
mortgage and
lot.
some
When you're not
change.
prepared for that, that's a lot. And then
No,
you got to pay the shortage too. So what they don't tell
oh,
you is
you
they wait a
do.
year and they multiply that by 12 and you get a shortage coupon that says you owe this because
Surprise!
and we're going to increase it and this is where it's going to go it's still going to increase even if you pay it. But if you don't pay it, it's going to go to this number. And if you do pay it, it's going to go to this number. And that really stinks if you're not prepared for that. Like,
Yeah,
it's always going to happen here in Michigan. That's how it works. It's like once you sell a house, those taxes uncap and that taxable value pops up to the state equalized value. And it doesn't matter what house you buy. So as long as you understand where those taxes are going, because if you're looking at a house that the person's been there 20 years or so, you're looking at taxes that are grandfathered in at that, lower level that's incrementally increasing by what is it, 5% or 4% each
it
year?
depends on the city, but yeah, a lot of these cities are maxing it out. They can go from 0 to 4, 5% depending on the city and what that looks like. We know cities around here that push it every year to the max
Oh, for
to
sure.
get just so that they can make more money,
Yep.
even though it's hurting their community. So it
Right.
does happen. When you hire someone, it matters. So taking like I just had this up because this is a client right now who is going to be looking at investment property. I
Hmm.
shared this with her and this way she knows. Again, one of the three big things you have the communication, organization, and being financially free. That right
Yes.
there and having
Mhm.
this conversation with you will set you financially free. If
Yeah.
that's something you can't do, a $3,000 payment, don't do it.
Because think of it, then you've already bought the house. And now, can you imagine getting that and having and realizing you can't afford it? And now what? Now you're going to try to sell? No, you're not. In 1 year. So as the seller, now you've got to pay approximately 8% of the purchase price is or the sale price is your cost as a seller if you hire real estate agents. And if you don't hire real estate agents, God help you because there's a lot that can go wrong. The problem is you're not going to make your money back very, very rarely. It would be a situation where like from 2020 to 2021 where everything went up like 15% in our area that you could swing. But right now, no, you wouldn't be breaking even. You'd likely be bringing money to close just to get out of a situation where now you can't afford. So this is huge. Like, this
Yeah.
is you have to understand your numbers, and you have to, this is more of a serious day today. Sometimes we're more fun and exciting. This is more serious, but maybe we have some funny stories we can get into because this is a lot heavy. But that's really what's important to get that message across.
So, you want I have a
I feel like a
story.
mom right now that I am like, and I'm like lecturing everybody, but
I
it's so
know, but
important.
I
It's
have a
so important.
story. I There's a listing agent, and again, we go through the negotiations. I always call. So I'm calling this listing agent, no answer. Called her again, no answer. I'm like, okay, two times in a day. She now knows I'm reaching out. So I do a call and I send a text. That's normal protocol. Like, hey, I'm CC with Simple Home Lending. I'm calling about client X about the property and on the street. And that's all
Yeah,
I put.
yeah,
Please call me back. So even if they don't want to call me back, they know I've reached out
right.
and that I'm involved because sometimes they
Yes.
don't want to talk to me, and that's okay. Even the buyer's agent couldn't get a hold of the listing agent. We had to call the broker after a week and a half of trying to get a hold just so we could start negotiations. Then a month and a half of silence. This is an agent who has a
So wait, they
house
did they
for
accepted the offer and there was
no,
no
no, there
communication?
was no acceptance. We couldn't even get a hold of
Oh my
them to
gosh.
negotiate.
Were they dead?
So
Did they die?
that's what I
Jail?
thought. So we called the broker. They're like, "We don't know why she's not calling back." I'm like, "Well, this is not professional. So let's figure this out." Took a month and a half for her to call us back. And the first thing she said to me is, "Oh, I'm sorry." Wait, mindful. Her sign's in the front yard with her picture,
Did it go
smiling.
pending with someone else? I mean, is it
No,
just
her excuse was that she doesn't answer numbers she doesn't recognize. So she just listed her client's house for people to
but they
call,
put
a
in an
sign.
offer.
They put a sign in the yard with her phone number, smiling all pretty, and she won't answer the phone because she doesn't know your phone
What's her
number.
excuse to not responding to a purchase agreement emailed over?
Nothing, nothing.
Yes.
So we finally
These
went
are the
under
people I'm working
contract.
with. These are the people.
Yeah. No, no, no. So we go under contract, And luckily she's been responsive. But yeah, to hear that I if I listed my house and I'm depending on a listing agent to call these people back
Oh my
and
gosh, you
she's
got an
not,
offer and you sat on it and didn't even do anything with it? That's the
we
worst listing agent
probably
ever.
they probably missed out on other offers. We were just
Oh my
diligent because we
gosh.
wanted this as an investment property for our client, and me and the buyer's agent are we're like on top of it. We're not going to let our clients down. They want it until we get a no. We're going to keep calling. But that's just me.
Yeah.
That's me.
Sure,
So
sure.
here we are, who not to hire, and
Yes.
again, vet your real estate agent. The person who's putting a sign in the yard that has a pretty smile and may
Mhm.
show up with the marketing material doesn't mean that they're going to call back.
Yeah, make
I,
sure. Oh, that's
that blew
crazy
my
that you have to
mind.
act. That's
Blew.
terrible. Yeah, here's what I will say about that. My thought is too, there's a lot of agents who they said in 2024, and I think and 2023, the average amount of houses sold for a real estate agent was one. What does that tell
Mm.
me? We're dealing with, I mean, you can't feed your family selling one house. So we're
No.
dealing with agents who are part timers
Oh,
or
yeah.
some timers, or I wanted to sell a couple of houses because I want to look in real estate. And it really does hurt the rest of the industry because it's like, I know when I'm trying to get a hold of someone and they don't answer me 9 to 5 that they're probably at another job. And then I get a call, right, 501 or 515. And I'm like, dude, you can't hold up the whole transaction just because you gotta, clock in. Like, give it to somebody who's going to have somebody during the day. At least I understand if you're trying to get into real estate, that's fine. But have an assistant, do something to where your business is actually being treated like an actual business and transaction, than just having everybody wonder if you're alive or not because you don't answer your phone during the day because you're on another job. That's what that tells me,
So,
is that somebody who's not doing it full time. And if you're not doing it full time, you're probably not really at the top of your game. Anyways, it's
well,
probably like a
with all
best
the
friend that hired you.
continuing educations, that's important to have, and actually just being in the office at times, hearing the banter, or being on boards and hearing the banter, and being able to focus on is huge. So let me ask you a question, Holly. Q and
Sure.
A.
Q&A.
Q and A. How if I was so I want to go sell my house. Can I ask you, or is it rude? I would feel that's rude to ask. Are you a full time real estate agent or are you part time?
Should totally ask that because communication and defer to that, ask that, is this what you do full time? How long have you been in the business for? What's the best way for me to communicate if I have questions? How are you going to communicate with me? Like, are we going to talk every week? If you've got a house listed and there's not as enough activity. First of all, that's probably a conversation that's had at the table when you're talking about pricing. And if a seller decides to price outside of what I call the sell zone, I always have that conversation. Well, it is your home, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. However, this is where it's likely going to transact and we want to bring more people in. And I go through my whole thing. If they want to be outside of that, we usually put a time frame on it. Okay, 1 week. If we don't get enough showings, or if we get a ton of showings and no offers, we'll look at a price reduction. Now, I don't like to do that. That's not my way to list and strategize, but some people, that's how they want to do it. They're the client. I go through all the reasons why we should do it in the way that I'm going to present. But at the end of the day, that's the communication piece. Like, you shouldn't wonder why your house isn't selling. I always do ask the seller, where do you feel your home is worth? And then I first of all, I show them all the comps and we discuss it. I lead them. I don't ask it first because I want them to see where the comps are, because I don't want them to be way outside of it. I want them to have a moment to look at the data and then come and then give me an idea of where they think it's at. But that needs to be part of the conversation that you're having at the table. You should understand what your house is worth, about how long it's going to take to sell, what the marketing that's going to be done to get your house sold. How do we know if we're way outside of the realm? A lot of these questions. Definitely have to ask that questions. You need to ask what the commission is that your listing agent charges and why. Not just give a number, but why are you worth that? What do you charge? What am I getting for that? Because there's a lot of agents out there that'll be a flat fee, which basically they'll say, oh, it's like, let's say $1,500 to sell your house. Doesn't matter what price point it is. They don't do anything. They might put it in the MLS for you, but then you're fielding the calls, you're facilitating the showing time. Apple will do the showings for you, but you're facilitating offers and a lot of other things. They have everything come directly to you as the seller. Well, I mean, again, would you represent yourself as an attorney? Some people do it. I sure as heck wouldn't want to be on a death row trial and represent myself.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Or like something that's really important, where my life it's important. Like this is a very large financial transaction. Just this year, I have taken someone's earnest money deposit as a listing agent because this buyer decided they just want to walk for no reason at all, get under contract, don't want to do an inspection. And I went to the agent and I said, guess what? Your client is paying this to my clients. And I pushed the issue because you don't get to do that. Like this is a legal contract. And it was frustrating that they walked away for no reason. They just thought it was fun to have us go under contract, market accepting backup offers, and then no one could find them. And in a week, didn't put in their earnest money deposit and decided they want to walk away. Well, it cost them. You can't play games like that. So again, they were thankful that I got them that money. And I did all of the due diligence, and the lender was even like shaking his head, like, I don't understand this, why they did that. But again, that buyer's agent didn't understand. He didn't even know that that was a thing. He just thought, well, my buyer just wants to walk away. I'm like, well, your buyer
Uh,
can't just do that. This is
no.
called real estate. This is a legal contract, and we're going to hold you to that. And my client can also sue them. They really want to make sure they don't get sued. So I would just pay that earnest money deposit, and then you're lucky that they don't want to take it further. But this year, it seems like it's like the people who don't know what they're doing as agents are in full effect. And public service announcement, you need to be careful who you hire. You need to have a list of questions. I don't care if you go on ChatGPT. You can ask me, or if you're not in my
Oh,
area and I
yes.
can't work with you, at least go to ChatGPT and say, what are the questions I should be asking a listing agent or a buyer's agent? What are the questions I should sit down and interview them and ask? Because it is an interview process. You're being hired to do a job, and it's like any other thing. You need to know who you're working with. Just grab somebody because they say, oh, I'll do it for cheap for you. Well, if you're looking to make money or save money, that's not how you do it in this industry. You don't want to scrape the bottom of the barrel and get the reject that nobody else will hire. Sorry, but I said that because that's how it is. You want somebody who knows what they're doing and is going
Okay.
to
And
get you the house as a buyer's agent. If you're the buyer, you want somebody that's going to be able to get you the house and knows what they're doing and can compete and knows how to set
so
you up right.
quickly, just
Yeah.
doing chat because, that's like our best friend. The top 10 is how long have you been in? Do you specialize more in working with buyers or sellers, like what you said? What strategy do you have while listing a home if you're dealing with selling a home? How will they how will they market you? Communication, do you work solo or with a team? This that's the huge thing. Are you solo or are you team? Are you full-time, part-time? If someone told me they're part-time, I'd be like, "Okay, that's not a problem. Who's gonna help you?" Like what you said. So just
Right.
doing a quick click, 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 the top 10 questions to ask. This right here, they have pro tips and um the last one of the pro tip is to ask that open-ended question. Why should I choose you over other agents?
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of it, that's a great question. Unless they lead with that, probably by the time, like for someone like me, by the time I'm done with my presentation and I'm asking if you have any other questions, I've never really had anyone ask that question. And here's why: it's just from years of learning how to perfect my presentation. I'm hitting on everything that I know they're thinking in their
Okay.
head. And I'm hitting on that throughout the presentation as we're going through it and as we're talking about all of it. And if we do get to the end and there's still some additional questions, most of the time they don't have any other questions, right? But if they do, yeah, if I haven't done a good job illustrating why you'd hire me and not someone else, then
Mhm.
absolutely ask that question. If you don't feel like the person that is you're looking to hire has really given you enough detail as to why you'd hire them, 100% ask that question. Yep.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: if I can't validate my worth to you as a seller, okay, if I can't do that and if I can't earn your business and if I can't negotiate with you what I'm worth, how am I going to, what I say to some people, how am I going to negotiate for you? If I can't even negotiate myself and what I do with you, we're on the same team. How am I going to do it with an against another agent to get to your best interest? You know what I mean? It's
What a great point. If you can't adequately verbalize and show, so yeah, so interviewing real estate agents, that's good, that's healthy. Get to know a
definitely.
couple and pick the one. If again you need any assistance in any of these areas, call Holly.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. And even if I'm not, licensed, what I like to do too, we've talked about this in the past. If you tell me where you want to move to or where you're selling, I'll find the best agent in your area. You just give me the state and the city. We have a conversation about what's important to you because I want to match you to the right level of agent. And then I'm like a matchmaker and I do get paid to do that. I get a referral fee. So it's another, kind of like another lane of business for me. And that's why I take it really seriously and I work is it because I'm getting paid for it. So I'm going to find out what's important to you. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? And then I basically do the interview for you. I'll talk to a couple of agents, ask the questions like that I know need to be asked, and then give a couple options. Then I always tell the clients, if these don't work out, let me know and I'll get more. But after talking to them, I really feel like this would be a good fit. And it hasn't failed me yet. So it's worked out really well. And I've been able to do that for people. But it's important, you do need help with that. Oh, and it's not something the client pays for, by the way. It comes out of that agent's commission. It doesn't come from the client doesn't pay for that. It comes out of the agent's commission.
Did you see
That's
my
how that
thought
works.
bubble? I
I
was gonna
didn't.
ask that question.
Were you?
Yep.
No, but I thought to
That's
myself, if
exactly
I was listening to me, I'd be wondering, do I have to pay for
Yeah, that was exactly the
that?
follow-up question I was gonna have for you. Where would that come from? But
Yeah, the
perfect.
agent's commission, like we negotiate a percentage of the agent's commission because again, I am gifting you a client
Mhm.
and it's kind of like being the middleman and it's, and so that's definitely I've taken referrals as well and I'm happy to pay a referral fee because that's business that I would have never gotten another way because I have no connection to this person and now I'm connected not just to this person in this one transaction but to their friends and family because they're going to love working with me because I make it fun and I make sure I give it my all and they're going to refer me down the road. So it's so worth it for me to do that because now, I'm a referral source for them as well and they can feel good about referring me to people because you never want to refer somebody and then find out they didn't
No,
do a good job. That's embarrassing. That is like nobody wants that. So
no.
I make it clear like if you refer me, I understand what it takes and if I refer someone and stand behind someone, they better do an amazing job for my
It's that
people.
reputation.
Reputation.
Mhm.
Absolutely. 100%. I don't know if you have do we have a funny story about there's so many stories. I mean,
There is.
there's so many beware stories of what can happen and go wrong, but do we have anything that's less heavy or
Let's can
scary?
Yeah,
Mm?
can we talk about when, let's talk about individuals who are searching on Zillow, okay,
Oh,
or
yeah.
realtor.com. So
Mm,
here's the thing, who you
mhm.
hire matters. So
Mhm.
let's say you don't have an agent, that you're shopping online, you're putting the cart in front of the horse, you're not pre-approved, but you're just kind of dabbling to see what's out there.
Right.
Take a look, because some people, and I know this, are like, oh, the path of least resistance. I'll go to that listing agent and they can get double the commission. They'll work for me. That's not the case. But that's a whole different topic. I want you to look at the photos. Okay. So there's this one agent who I don't know who he is. I'm going to know who he is, but I'm obsessed. Obsessed. He's an agent down south of Lansing here in Michigan. And I've
Mhm.
looked at a few properties. I have a client that's looking down in the Charlotte area. And so as as he sent me a few of the actual listings, the guy, the listing agent took the photo of the house and put it on the TV, edited the photos and put the house on the TV. If there's a frame in the bedroom, he edited the photo of the house, the front of the house, and put it in the frame. so it would cover up the
Oh,
family
that's
photos.
hilarious. I
I
love that.
love it.
That's
That
that's a great idea.
It's
It's great marketing.
clever.
That
That's
is
great.
smart.
So I happened to
So
see
everywhere you
another
look, you're seeing the house.
you see the
This
house, like,
little
you may
message. You
not know
need
it,
this
but,
house. You
oh,
want this house.
you want this house.
You
So it was
must
funny.
buy this house.
I know, and I ended up talking to the agent to see if this is a VA approved house on one of his listings, and so I've actually talked to him on the phone for this client. Well, when I was sent another house, I saw the same marketing. I smiled so big, I scrolled up and there was his name's Eric. It was Eric. I'm like, okay, I got to know who he is because that is someone when you're going through photos, and
Yep.
yes, you may not want that house. That's actually another way to see who's a good real estate agent and who's not. So if these photos are grainy, they the toilet seat is up.
Oh
Mm,
God. I just
Lord help
I
me. The
can't. Yeah.
toilet seat, you see inside the shower, bottles everywhere, there's stuff on the
iPhone
counter.
picture with the shadow of the
Oh,
iPhone. My God.
don't get me started. So if you're dabbling around, make note, that's who you don't hire.
Don't
Don't
hire
hire
that
the one that has
person.
a toilet seat up. Who wants to see a picture of a toilet seat? We all know bathrooms have toilets, right?
Real estate
We don't
agents
need to
are
see.
not photographers. It's very rare. Well, maybe
Don't
we know one or two that are,
Yes.
but
Don't do
normal
it.
real estate agents are not photographers. Hire you. That's a question that
Hire.
you ask. If the agent doesn't cover it in their presentation, like
Mhm.
and you're listing, oh, are you gonna are you gonna have professional photography, videography? If it's on property, they should be doing drone. If it's
A
on the water, they
drone.
should do drone. Does
Yes.
what are you gonna do? Yeah, yeah. Because
So it's a big
again,
thing.
it's marketing costs. And agents pay that. That's out of our marketing budget. That's why we get paid a commission, because part of our commission, a good part, goes back to our brokerage. We have a split, and then we have fees that we pay, like to the marketing, to do the photos, to do
Yeah.
the video, to run ads, to blah blah blah, all the things. Yeah.
And it matters. So now that once in a while you see it, and he clearly a good listing agent, but the way he photoshopped it in the frames, on the wall, on the TVs, I am in
That's
stitches.
funny. That
Stitches.
is
The no,
funny.
the best part is the last one I saw wasn't of that house. It was a different house. He was marketing a different house in that, like, "Hey, there's more properties." I
Oh, I don't know that
I
I
was
would do
dying.
that.
I
I don't
know,
know that a
but
seller would like that. That's more like an agent doing it for themselves,
yes.
not so much for the seller. But it's
So
cool if the house is already sold and you're showing some stuff. But yeah, I don't know that I'd do that for a
I
seller.
he's on top of it. So I don't know. I don't know the madness. I need to talk to him about it, but again, it matters. So, say you're in bed with your significant other, if it's just you and you're looking and playing, just take note of those individuals who took the photo. They're probably not the person. Now, if there's a drone and you're like, okay, you know what? This is actually a good listing agent.
Right.
Let We can vet the person through the marketing and even ask that individual who comes for the interview to be your listing agent. Hey, show me on Zillow or Realtor or one of the .coms, then they're at, because
Hmm.
all of those kind of rip my heart out because you should really have an agent and go through the MLS.
Right.
That's huge.
Yep.
If you don't and you're a tire kicker, like just kind of kicking around to see if this is something you want to do or move, look at those photos. It's comical. Actually, look.
Yeah.
Do you see the trash can?
I've
Mm,
seen some crazy
mm,
stuff.
mm. Again,
I've seen some crazy
Lord help
stuff in
me.
some photos. Like,
Yes.
here's the thing, if you are listing a home, I had one home in 10 years. I think only one, let me think. Yes, I think I can only remember one where we didn't do interior photos. Now, you don't have to do interior photos. You have to have at least one exterior photo. That's all you have to go on the MLS. There was a condo that I listed. She was already boxed up. Like, she was ready to go because we bought her other property first with cash, and then we had to put the money back, and she had to put it back into one of her accounts. She was so focused on getting that done. everything was in boxes. Like you can even walk, like I walked in the house and I was like, we can't do photos here, right? But she couldn't move in yet, but we needed to get, she wanted it on the market. So it wouldn't be my first choice to do it that way, but we just had exterior photos. You don't put those, you don't do those photos. Like I'm not going to put photos online that don't entice you to want to come see it. Maybe entice is the wrong
Okay.
word. That don't encourage you to want to come and see the house.
No,
Just come walk
I
there.
like the
You
word
don't
enticing.
understand.
Actually, I
Yeah,
really like the
there's an
word
enticement
enticing.
clause. There's an enticement clause with what we
Oh,
do. Yeah, that's a bad word for
okay.
me to use, um, but yeah,
I thought that was
I know, but it's just nice to be able to have people, you want them to come and see it. If you walk in and see that there's boxes there, if anything, you might get a little excited, like, cool, I'm going to get occupancy right away on this one. This one's not going to make me wait and take forever to get out, right? So that's the positive. The negative is if they're not very good at seeing spatially, like where their stuff would fit, hopefully their
yes.
agent is able to help them with it. And they maybe measure a little bit and just, look at room sizes or whatever. But yeah, that's the thing. Marketing is about selling the house. You don't Certain rooms I've excluded so many times because I'll be like, we're not going to put this one online.
Closets, garage
I never
sometimes.
put closets on unless it's
I've
empty or
seen
it's why do I want my clothes? I do not want anybody seeing what's
I
in my
do
closet right now.
not want my clothes
I'm
seen.
just gonna
They're
write
not
that it's got
color
a walk-in closet.
coordinated.
You can come and see it for yourself, but I am not gonna put somebody's jeans and shirts and what they have in their closet online. Hi, do you want to come? Oh, look, she's got some Louis Vuitton. I think I'm gonna go to that house. No, we're not
Oh,
doing
is
that,
that a
right?
red sole? Hold on, we
You
got
know,
some Jimmy
I saw a
shoes
red
up in
bottom.
here.
Maybe we need to go to a showing there, right? So I'm gonna show up to
Yeah,
that
well,
open house. Yeah, we're not doing that. That's just stupid. I don't
yeah.
do that. Now, if it's a beautiful walk-in closet that you could live in and it looks like everything is perfectly done, maybe a quick, like do the video really quick to show it because if it's going to help sell the house, but nobody needs to see other people's stuff hanging in a closet. We get it. It's a
Mm-mm.
walk-in closet.
We're not
Fantastic. Don't put it online.
MTV crash
This is
pads,
not
or what is
cribs.
it called?
MTV cribs.
Cribs.
It's not
MTV
cribs.
cribs.
You're not looking at my
Come
clothes. Yeah.
on in.
I don't even like the fact. I personally I have such a hard time when I'm selling. I'm like the worst seller, which is kind of funny that thankfully nobody has to work with me. I wouldn't want all my personal stuff. I wouldn't want someone going through. I'd be so afraid they'd be looking at my clothes and stuff. Like I have that like thought in my head that like I'd probably want to box it up before they come, but I wouldn't have time probably because moving is a thing. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Just why when people my favorite is the picture of the furnace. I don't care if that's the top of the line, brand spanking new furnace. Everybody knows there's a furnace there. Nobody wants to see a picture of a furnace in a
I
basement.
know guys who
Just
actually
not
do.
finished. Do not show pictures of an unfinished basement. Why would you do that? That is
Yeah.
not going to help
I
sell a home. That's not creating this beautiful, you know, portrait picture walking through and feeling it. And all of a sudden I'm in a basement that's not finished looking at a furnace. That's how I'm
yeah,
ending. That's how you're ending this for this buyer. That's your marketing strategy. No,
yeah.
that
So
should not be
not
your
hire
marketing
that,
strategy.
but who you met or hires. There's good, there's bad. Do the due diligence, ask the uncomfortable questions. Honestly, and even with lenders, I think you should vet them too. You should know who they are, make sure you ask all the right questions. There's tons of questions that you can ask for a lender, but the big three things is communication, organization, and that they understand your financial goals and that they stick to it. Because
Yes.
between lenders and your real estate agent, we've seen real estate agents go and over beyond of the actual they'll push a purchase price and
Hmm.
negotiate a an appraisal guarantee
Right.
without talking to me. I've had that done, and I had to go and put my hand up. I called the listing agent. I'm like, "We gotta pause." I went over the buyer's agent. I'm like, "This is uncomfortable, and I apologize that this negotiation is happening." I've only had to do it one time, go over the buyer's agent because she was not a good agent, put
Hmm.
my hand up, and like, "The negotiations are done. My buyer cannot afford this. I'm sorry. We need to move on." And I've done that only one time because that listing agent was so excited to get the negotiation down. They were newer and didn't understand the full implications of what an appraisal guarantee
You mean the buyer
means.
agent?
Sorry, the
Yeah.
buyer's agent didn't
Yeah.
know. So me having to call the listing agent going, "We're pausing.
Yeah.
We're
That's too
done."
bad. that had to be uncomfortable, but you got to do your job. I mean, your job is with your client. The relationship, obviously, with the realtor, you want to keep for continued
I didn't
business.
know the
But
realtor.
well, but I'm just saying, I'm
Yeah,
glad that you weren't worried about that because your
yeah,
job is obviously to your client. You're like our
correct.
my fiduciary is to my client and yours is to your client. And you can't let them get over their head and get under contract and then spend money on on a
Well, they didn't
inspection
have it.
even. Inspections aren't cheap, and then
No,
find out you can't
they didn't
fulfill
have
this.
a $10,000 extra fund.
And shame on that listing agent for not calling you, first of all, and asking that question, because that's a question. Again, the listing agent should have called you to say, hey, here's the offer I have in front of me. You're the lender. Can they do X, Y, and Z? First of all, can you close in 30 days? Great. What's your
The
appraisal? Great. By the way, I see your appraisal or your pre-approval says up to X amount. We're good with that with the amount, but they're also going over with the appraisal guarantee. Is that something that
it was
they can
a
even do?
lobby. So the first negotiation I approved. Then they lobbied and they ended up going, okay, we'll reduce it or we'll do this, but we need this amount of money. So no matter what, we need that appraisal guarantee. I think it was like in
Right.
the second or third negotiation. So it didn't
Okay.
come out of the gate. So when she called me, it was vetted. Everything was fine. But then they
Right.
started getting down and they really wanted their money. And I think it came down, if I remember correctly, they needed seller concessions. And she was worried that it wasn't going to appraise the seller concessions. So they put that appraisal guarantee in. So they got that purchase price.
Why would it not appraise with seller concessions? Why would the appraisal care about seller concessions?
So if the house is valued, let's keep it clean numbers, 250, she had it listed, but the buyer needs seller concessions, you have to increase the purchase price
Sure.
to
Yeah.
make up, and she didn't think that it would, she was worried
That's
that
so
the
dumb though,
appraisal
because
wouldn't
then
come
you're
in.
giving the money that you needed anyway. So you're guaranteeing an appraisal guarantee, but you need the money. That doesn't even make sense. So that's
Exactly.
like saying I need 3% in concessions, but I'm going to go 3% higher and I'm going to give an appraisal guarantee, but you need that 3% concession.
Correct, and so she was worried.
Oh my
Here's the
gosh.
thing, yeah. So I understand kinda where they were going with it, but I had to stop it. I'm like, "No, the negotiations are over. If you're doing this, it's over." And
Right.
because I said that, they backed down to the negotiation before and accepted the deal. Like,
Good.
"No, they can't do it because I haven't sourced the funds, and I
Right.
know that there's no more funds.
Right.
I can't take blood out of a turnip." Or
No.
wait, blood out of rock? What is the phrase? Oh
No,
my
blood on a
gosh.
turnip works.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something about you can't squeeze the blood out of it. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
southern thing.
something, something. But
Yeah.
again, who you work with matters. Ask
Mhm.
the questions, vet them, and make
Yes.
sure you have someone who, again, you have that one part who financially is there for your goal. Because not everybody has the same goal. If,
Right.
like my client today, we just went in negotiations, the listing agent who called me, she wants this house ASAP for her kid. She's like, "What do we need to do to get this house?" It
Mhm.
gives the right, it's a bedroom, it's perfect for her boys. It's a perfect school district. They don't have to move school districts, which is a blessing in itself.
Mhm.
And she's like, "I want this house." And I know her goal. She wants a house. Let's make this work.
Right.
If they were like, "Okay, I can't afford, I can only go up to this," then I know their goal.
Mhm.
So, again, have that team. Me and Holly work
Yes.
together. When you have a loan officer that works with a real estate agent, that's good. Or if you have a loan officer who actually can pivot and work with other real estate agents very well and have
Yes.
the same exact communication, that's
Mhm.
huge too. Same
Definitely.
thing, having a real estate agent being able to work with the lender you brought to the table so that they can get along. There's that vetting, like, hey, can we all play nice in the sandbox? Will there be communication and continue on? Because you want a strong team.
So important is to have a strong team. I wish
Yes.
that was like really talked about more often because like I know how you work, you know how I work. It you know what I'm saying? Like you know what you're going to get and you know the
Hmm.
level of professionalism and this is really an important conversation that I'm glad we had because it's a lot. with people out there that are moonlighting as an agent or brand new lender and they don't know certain things, especially financially, that can hurt you, or they don't know about programs that can help you and they don't know enough to talk about them or just don't offer them, a lot of it is, you've got to find somebody who aligns with what you need. You've got to go through your story. Hey, I'm Holly and I want to buy a house and here's what it's important to me and here's all my background and this is what I need, and having that conversation with lender and your agent to determine if it's a good fit, because it is a tight relationship, sometimes for a short period of time, sometimes longer, but sometimes it
Sorry.
goes a little longer than it's technically usually does, but it's really, you're
Yeah.
like in the foxhole together and you need to be able to depend on the person that you're hiring. Same thing. I mean, I'm kind of vetting the client as well when I'm talking to them. If it seems like, they are, I haven't had to do that. It's very rare that this would happen. But if I don't think that there's someone that I'm going to be able to work, like if they're not going to get back to me and respond and just, if they don't understand time frames, I'm going to stress because, like, it's a contract and I've got to get your EMD from you at a certain time. We only have a certain time for inspection, all the things. So it goes both ways. It's a relationship that's really important and you need to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And if you're just joining us now, we're pretty much getting done with all of this, but rewatch it because, especially if you're looking to buy or sell, really important who you work with because it can
So important.
bite you, can bite you and leave a mark.
And especially with
Pick the
what's
wrong
happening in the
one.
market and with the rates still declining steadily and we're moving in the right direction, get organized, start
Yep.
asking these questions because if these hit, let's say you're comfortable when it gets into the low fives, let's just be hypothetical. Or if you're
Low
okay with six,
fives? That would be nice.
well, that's a long time from now.
Yeah. I'm like,
I
that's a
know what's
couple.
coming, but you're
Yeah.
talking years. So if you're
Yeah. You're
pre-doing
gonna be waiting
and
for a couple of years.
that's what you want, that's where you have a conversation with me because what if the loan amount is only 150,000? Well, that's only a $30 difference. Are you going to tell me you're going to wait years
Two
over
years, 3 years.
$35 a month?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, make a different
let's
plan. Yeah,
yeah, so
different
this is
plan.
where talking financially and coming up with a plan is important now.
Hmm.
Don't look at that rate. Yes, we're declining. Yes, we're getting there. But let's really see where we're at. If you know in 2 years your kids are going to be off to college or 3 years or whatnot, and
Hmm.
you're going to wait a year or two after they're in college to go, okay, I want to downsize. The kids are gone. Do I need the 4 bedrooms? Do I need to clean these 2 bathrooms? Is
Right.
this us? Did they go away and they're not coming back? Is this us? What does this look like to sell our property? What would it
Hmm.
look like to buy another? Even call us that far in advance. Get
Right.
organized. Let's
Yep.
hear the goal. We're happy to help. And we're cheerleaders for years. I mean, Holly and I have a client. How long has Anna been a client?
Well, we kind of put it on hold, the search, right? I think like
Yes.
actively
Yeah.
searching was 2 years. I would say it's a good 2 years.
Oh,
And I
I
could even
thought
be and I could even be wrong about that.
no, I think
Is it longer?
it has to be, like,
It could
she
be.
called us, like, 3 years ago, and yes, life hasn't worked out. There's, everybody life happens. It's not bad, it's positive. There's bad, it kind of roller coasters, but here we are with a client that we've actually have loved and been cheerleaders with
Hmm.
for 3 years. She'll
Yeah.
call us when she gets a new job. We're all excited because she's freshly out of college. It's a beautiful thing, but
Hmm.
we're still here. Again, who you hire matters because we're
Yep.
still here 3 years later. We haven't
Right.
skipped a beat
We're still in
at
business.
all.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. We're still here.
True.
We didn't
True.
come in.
I
We
love
didn't
my
come in
job.
and then leave because things got a little bit hairy. Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah. You
So
got to know what you're
it
doing.
call us. We're here.
Absolutely. Yeah, for all the things. And so yeah, we'll keep having this conversation, I'm sure, off and on with little snippets in between every other Tuesday that we talk, which is typically, if you're tuning in, Tuesday at 10. So we're typically live. And done a lot of traveling lately, but no more traveling. I don't think well, I shouldn't say that. I probably have some things coming up, but probably be able to stick with Tuesdays at 10 for a while and coming live and talking about everything that's real estate mortgage related. We love questions. If you have one, just drop it in the comments. We would love to be able to, take your question and use it on our next episode and answer the questions. Or if we're live, ask the question. We'll be
Yeah.
happy to answer it. I love that. I love the conversation. All right. So thank you, Cece, again for joining me. And for everybody else, we'll see you next week. Go ahead and tap the bell for notifications so you will be reminded when we are live. And until then, be blessed.